I don't think you understand how difficult it is to be a lone striker. But when it was needed the most, he came through. How many times did this guy in the FA Cup come through for Chelsea? Clutch moments. Lone strikers, top 2.
Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H. Double H.
Do we appreciate it? I mean, I'll start there. Do we truly appreciate it? He's called his retirement. He's announced it. And you see, I like when this happens. What I don't like is when someone dies, we then give them their flowers and they talk about it. Because I was watching Drink Champs. I'm not sure that you guys watch Drink Champs, posted by Nori, aka Noriega, the rapper. Great show. And the whole point of his show is he gets legends, like legendary people within hip-hop and rap. And he just praises them because he says that I want to give you your flowers now. I want to praise you guys now. I don't want to praise you guys when you're dead because you won't be able to hear it. I want you to praise you guys now when you're around. And I think that's the beauty of this, of like, in his retirement, let us lavish Drogba with the praise that he deserves because his impact is huge. Hey, Montreal Impact. His impact on the game is huge because I'll get towards it later as to why his impact was huge. But let's just look at this career. So 98 to 2002, Le Mans, 64 appearances, 12 goals. Again, shout out to Wikipedia for these stats. Then from 2002 to 2003, so that's just a 1-year period, Gicon, 45 appearances, 20 goals. That's it. That's a pretty nice ratio there. Then I think the big one was Marseille. Now, it may say 35 appearances and 19 goals, but it was his performances, especially within the European competition. I believe it was his performance, I think it was against Liverpool or somewhere, that really caught people's eye as to, oh, no, this guy could really be a certain player. So then Mourinho took the dip, bought him, brought him over, and then he began his career. So 2004 was when it all started for him, the 04-05 season. And I think when he first came, people were like, all right, can this guy do what Hasselbank did, what Gudjonsen did, what Zola did? And I think, he had to really adapt to how much tougher, how much more physical, and how much more intense the Premier League was. Because remember, at this time, you would argue that the Premier League was one of the most toughest leagues in the world. Not as how it is right now, but as of this time, the Premier League was pretty damn tough. It was one of the toughest leagues because they had some very good defense, and it was just a much more physical game back then. But then slowly and surely, he figured out the Premier League. He figured out how to walk into Mourinho's system, and he figured out how to become this lone striker. And at the end of it, once he figured it out, he was not only one of the greatest strikers in the Premier League, one of the greatest players in the... I hate using that word, one of the greatest foreign exports. No, shut up. Just one of the greatest players in the Premier League, one of the greatest. For me, as far as just striking goes, again, let's see what Harry Kane does at the end of it. But for me, like, as far as strikers in the Premier League, their goals, but their impact and their performances, for me, it's between him and Shearer. I still say Shearer as number one. I still say Shearer is still the greatest Premier League striker. But Drogba is very close. Drogba is very, very close. As a defender, like Drogba at his peak, when you're a defender, you couldn't stop him. Strong, smart. He knew how to hold up the ball. had decent enough control. See, excellent finishing. But the thing about Drogba was he wasn't limited. Do you know what the crazy thing about Drogba was? Normally, especially you see it a lot in games today. All right, I'm going to give that ball to this long striker there. Damn it. All right. He may not hold it up, but let's just try and get some support there. The thing about Chelsea was that anybody in that midfield, whether it's be a Lampard, an Essien, and McLaren, and anybody, could just hit it to Drogba, and they know that he'll be all right. 2 defenders, 3 defenders, whatever. He's going to hold on to that ball. He'll wait for you guys to come. It's cool. You'll get that ball back. I don't think you understand how difficult it is to be a lone striker. I don't think you understand how difficult it is to be a lone striker. Because the way football works is it favors the defender. It's very hard to keep hold of the ball when you're up against one defender. When you're up against several defenders and you're on yourself, that is very, very hard. So how Drogba was able to forget about him finishing off goals. The amount of goals he scored where he would control the ball, turn and shoot, carry the ball, get past defenders, pull them off and put the ball in was incredible. That is an insane skill. But I think even more so than that, this is what separates a Drogba from. I'd even argue, and this is where we have this is where we have the argument, because I said Shearer is the number 1, but this is where Drogba is separated from Shearer, Cole, York, Van Nistelrooy, Kane, Aguero. Okay. This is where Drogba is separated. Clutch. What's more important? Scoring 100 goals a season or 40 goals, 6 of which helped the team win a trophy? Because the thing about Drogba is that he gave you the volume of goals, but when it was needed the most, he came through. How many times did this guy in the FA Cup come through for Chelsea? Clutch moments, winning goals in. That's what I look for. You can score as many goals as you want, and when do you score those goals? When do you score those goals? Scoring other goals, that's one thing. Boom, you've ticked that box. The critical golden box you need to tick is, when do you score those goals? Can you score an equalizer? Can you score a winning goal? And that is what Drogba did so many times for Chelsea, not only in the Premier League, helping them to win Premier League title, scoring in key games, but also in the FA Cup. And this is a moment that Shearer, Aguero, Harry Kane, Cole, York, Van Nistelrooy, these are moments that all these strikers don't have. His finest hour, Champions League. Like, what he did in that Champions League final was outstanding. Because when you look at that goal that he scored, there are so many elements, because we have to investigate that goal that he scored, because there's so many elements of that goal that he scored there. The first element is that it's an amazing goal. The distance, the angle, the degree of difficulty, and you're up against the best keeper in the world at that time. Well, yeah, you could argue that he was pretty much at least top 3. Maybe he then really became number 1 by the time the 2014 World Cup came on. But Noel, you would argue, was at least top 3 keepers in the world at that time, in 2012. So, all those things. And it was the injury time equalizer that gave Chelsea a lifeline. and Chelsea were easily the inferior team who were getting their ass beaten and totally outplayed. So the amount of elements involved in scoring that goal was outstanding. Giving away the penalty being saved, another lifeline. Maybe that was the universe saying, you know what, and we're going to give you another extra lifeline based on what you did. And then that penalty, man, the pressure, the weight. Chelsea have never won a Champions League before. Remember John Terry missing a penalty as well. He falling under the pressure. To be able to take that pressure, so much riding on that penalty, and to deliver that penalty. I think with that kick, he became Chelsea's greatest ever player. He became Chelsea's legend and a legendary player within the club game. And I think so. Obviously, moving to Shanghai Shenhua, then Galatasaray, then briefly back to Chelsea, Montreal Impact, then Phoenix Rising. Where Phoenix Rising, 22 appearances, 14 goals. Montreal Impact, 33 appearances, 21 goals. But I think, maybe the only little blemish on Drogba's career was the only real blemish was on his career was Ivory Coast. Personally, for me, I felt, even if he was happy for them, I know that I felt sad for Drogba when Ivory Coast finally were able to win the Nations Cup against Ghana on penalties, crazy penalty shootout, and then he wasn't there. I felt based on what Drogba did, he deserved to at least win something with the Ivory Coast. So that was a disappointment. And do you know what the worst thing? They got played out. 2006 World Cup, who was in their group? Argentina and flipping Holland. And I believe it was, and Serbia as well. 2010, who was in their group? Flipping Brazil and Portugal. Because for me, I fully believe, especially 2006, I think that was their strongest team. If they had an easier group in 2006, you know what? I'll say it. Flip it. Those clowns, the Super Eagles who embarrassed the nation, let them flip it. Put Ivory Coast in the group with, who was it? I know it was, 2006. Nigeria winning. I'm sorry for derating this drop. I'm sorry. They didn't even bloody qualify for that bloody thing. Just switch them with, let's say, Angola's group. Latin Mexico and something. Just give Ivory Coast an easier group that would have easily gotten through. And I do believe that Ivory Coast team in 2006, led by Drogba, could have done some very interesting things. I mean, it's so unfortunate because that was such a ridiculously talented Ivory Coast side. And with a peak Drogba doing what he was doing, I felt those guys could have really, really done something amazing in 2006. I felt they had done something, maybe in 2010, but especially in 2006, I felt they could have really done something special for Ivory Coast because they were a very strong team. Now, within the continent of Africa, Drogba is one of the greatest African players of all time. Where would I rank him? I still feel that he is below George Weah, because I do feel when you take everything into account, George Weah is still the greatest African player of all time. He's less talented than Okocha, but he did more. I think he made much more of an impact than what Okocha is. Okocha is the most talented African player of all time. Again, that's just one thing. Again, it goes back to one point. He is the most gifted footballer of all time. Again, that just does not make you overall the greatest. Because you have to, when you just say the greatest overall, just the greatest full stop, it's your talents, your achievements, your impact, your clutchness, those are many different things. I still say Weah is number one. It's unfortunate Essien got injured. It's unfortunate that Essien got injured. You've got Essien, you've got Abedi Pele, you've got Roger Miller, Rigobert Song, you've got Patrick Mboma. There's a lot of, but I'm trying to think, apart from Weah, I don't think I can put anyone else above Drogba. So as of right now, maybe this is a discussion for us to have. As of right now, I would put him as the second greatest African footballer. Based on his talent, his quality, his impact, his achievements, his clutchness, consistency, everything into account, I would put him just behind Weah. I'll put him just behind Weah. Unless I'm forgetting someone, I put him just behind Weah. Salah. Internationally, world, global, how do we rank it? Now, I said I was going to come back to this point. Lone striker. Would it be wrong to say that he's the second greatest lone striker of all time? I still feel Weah is the greatest lone striker of all time. But I would put Drogba as number 2. Because come at me. Most strikers, especially strikers that we see now, are sort of false nines. They're not really lone strikers. They're sort of false nines. So there you have false nines, you have inside forwards, you had your strike partnerships from before. But the last classic lone striker I can remember, just classic lone striker, was like a Mario Gomez, really. That was really very effective. Last really effective lone striker was Mario Gomez, who I still think was amazing. But as far as really taking the lone striker role to a different level and really be an impact with it, man, I've got to give a shout out to Drogba. Got to give a shout out to Drogba and what that guy did, because people need to watch what this guy did for Chelsea club-wise and his final star win in the Champions League. So I just think that he is one of the greatest lone. I have to use that role because I say greatest strikers. I would put him as strikers as a whole, maybe top 8. Top 7, top 8, because, oh my God, you've got Van Basten, you've got Shearer, you've got Gerd Muller, you've got Batistuta, you've got Christian Vieri. I mean, there are a lot of strikers. I mean, just look at the history of strikers. You've got flipping Pele, you've got Patrick Kluivert, you've got a lot of flipping strikers. So I'd say top 10. I'd say maybe top 10, at least top 10. You know, and then so that's damn good. In the history, I'd say top 10. Lone strikers, top 2. Him and Weah. Lone strikers, top 2, him and Weah, where you've got no supporting striker, no partner, you're all there by yourself. It is very lonely, it's very difficult. Takes a lot of dedication and not quitting and just keeping on going. It's tough, it's real tough. So yeah, man, roll with that. Drogba. Thanks for watching the video. Now think about becoming a Football Hut patron by pledging an amount each month, and then gain access to exclusive content only on the Football Hut Patreon page. Peace. Head over to the official site at halffootballhut.com or just click over here.